So it's been close to a week since we've been in London, and since the time we've come here, we've had the opportunity to think about everything that's gone down in the past week, what we did right, what we did wrong, what didn't work, and what we could definitely do better the next time round. And I decided it was probably a good idea for me to make a video on what your first week in London is going to be like. So if you plan on visiting London for the first time like I just did, you'll have a guide on what you should do and what you shouldn't. Hi guys, how are you doing? This is Ashika from Absolutely Ashika. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do so. You can also follow me on Instagram at Absolutely Ashika. As you can see, we have a fairly sunny day today. Well, it keeps fluctuating. There are bouts of sunshine between the clouds. Just the kind of weather I love. So absolutely loving the weather. So that's one great thing. In terms of what you need to do, I think the most important step while you're still in India is to try and get either international roaming activated on your SIM or get an international SIM. Now, we were really lucky because when we went to BFS, Namara was offering free SIMs, and we got our international SIMs because of that, which gave us a pack for about a month, and we can renew it if we'd like to. So both Arijit and I have local numbers because of that. And to be very honest, it really helps because as soon as you get out of the airport, you need to know where to go. So you can either download your maps in advance, or if you have an international SIM or international roaming activated on your phone, you can get out of the airport and see which is the next bus that's coming up, or the next train if you plan to take the metro, or if you plan to take a cab like we did, simply because we had too much luggage. And if you'd like to pay an arm and a leg, you can use your navigation while you're sitting in your cab. It's extremely important to activate international roaming in your phone before you leave India, so don't forget to do that. All you have to do is, for Vodafone at least, just call customer care for Vodafone and ask them to activate international roaming for a very small minimal fee, so you can keep getting those OTPs and bank notifications or anything important, especially while you're transitioning to a new number here. Now, probably the second most important thing is to pick the Airbnb or the hotel you're going to stay in for the first week or the first month very wisely. We picked a hotel in London for multiple reasons. The first reason is because of its proximity to everything, supermarkets, the metro, all of that. And the second most important reason is because India is still on the amber list, which means that if you plan on coming to the UK anytime soon, you will have to home quarantine yourself. Now, this means that you'll have to take tests on day 2, day 5, and day 8. We figured it would be a lot easier to do these tests in London versus a smaller town close by, especially because the tests need to be mailed back and stuff, especially if you're doing home tests and not visiting a center by yourself. So do make sure that you have a lot of grocery stores, post offices, post boxes, and easy connection to the metro or bus stops from wherever you stay. Now, like I mentioned earlier, because India is still on the amber list, you will have to home quarantine yourself once you get to the UK. At this point, I think anything is better than being institutionally quarantined, and way, way, way cheaper than that option too. Still, it's not fun, so you should equip yourself with tools to keep you engaged over the 10-day period. The good news is there is a way to get out of the 10-day home quarantine system. You can home quarantine yourself for 6 days provided you test negative. For that, you would need to take the test on day 5. Now, the test on day 5 is not mandatory, but in case you like to get out of your home quarantine a little earlier, you can opt for test 5. It is a little more expensive than the tests that come for day 2 and day 8, but probably worth it. And like I mentioned earlier, you can't drop off your COVID tests at just about any post box. It has to be a priority post box. So if you do have to post your COVID tests and you don't see a sticker on your post box, don't be worried. Check the website. If the website lists it as a priority box, it probably is. The sticker's probably gotten loose and fallen off. Don't stress, just post it, trust the system like we did, and it worked out. Now, the flip side to having to actually go and have to post everything was we got a chance to see the neighborhood, and boy, was it beautiful. I mean, every house over here is just absolutely gorgeous. So we were lucky we got to see bits and pieces of the road as we were going by, and I think that was a welcome respite from having to be home quarantine for so long anyway, so that worked out. What also helps with home quarantine is if you have a view. I mean, I spend most of my time sitting near this windowsill looking outside. It might be wise not to get something which doesn't have too much of a view or something which is a little dark, because you do have to spend 10 days there after all. Now the next point is do your homework on which apps work in the UK, which apps deliver food, which apps deliver groceries. We went with the usual recommendations and assumed they would work for us. Unfortunately, a lot of them were not delivering to the area where we were living, and on the first day when we got here and we were really hungry, we started to worry a little because we didn't really know how we were going to get food. But then we tried a bunch of options and found some apps that did deliver to the area where we lived, only to be faced with the next challenge. You see, Arijit and I have traveled quite a bit internationally in the past, and we've never really had a challenge with our credit cards or our debit cards because they're all internationally activated. But turns out, for some reason or the other, the apps here were not accepting our cards, and that's when we started to get a little worried because we weren't carrying any cash. Yeah. I think Bangalore does that to you. Most transactions in Bangalore are cashless now, so we have gotten used to not carrying cash over the past few years, and we went with the assumption that we wouldn't need much cash here either, so we didn't really bring any cash along. And then we were faced with a dilemma because we didn't know how to pay for any of these things. Then luckily, I managed to find one of my old Forex cards. It's a Neo card actually, which was strangely accepted, and thankfully we had already some amount of prepaid balance loaded on the cards. So do remember to check before you leave India whether you have activated international roaming on your cards, and do intimate your bank that you will be traveling so that they don't flag off your transactions as suspicious and block your card. And it's also a great option to have some alternates, like carry some cash and maybe some backup cards just in case your primary cards don't work. So our home quarantine is due to end today, and we're looking to finally get out of the house and take a nice pleasant walk around. The good thing is it's summer, so we have daylight until about 8 o'clock in the evening, so that's really helpful in this case, and hopefully our test results come in by then. And apart from that, we have one huge daunting task ahead of us, which is house hunting. We're currently staying in an Airbnb, and we're moving to another Airbnb on Saturday, which is in Maidenhead, which is closer to the location where we actually wanted to live. So the two towns we were considering were Maidenhead and St. Albans. And unfortunately, at this point, most of the properties that we've been looking at and properties that we have been looking at for the past month have either been sold out or someone's placed a booking on them. And at this point, we're not looking at too many houses being available. So as you can imagine, we're extremely worried, we're extremely tensed, and we're trying to figure out the best way to go about this, and probably looking at widening the areas we're looking at as well. But hopefully, if all goes well, the house hunting begins tomorrow and day after. Wish us luck. I do hope we get some lovely houses to stay in. What we also need to do is get our BRP cards. Unfortunately, for some reason or the other, our BRP cards have been shipped to Manchester, and we are in London, and that's quite a journey to make just to pick up your BRP cards. So we're going to have to visit one of our local post offices and see if they can get the BRP cards to be shipped over to us, because we honestly don't want to take a trip to Manchester at this point. So fingers crossed that works out well. And that's pretty much it. I hope next week is a lot more exciting than this week has been. Next week I hope to show you some of the houses we've been looking at, and hopefully by then we would have shortlisted a house, so I would have some good news. If I do figure out some smaller mistakes or things we tend to miss, I will share those with you so that you can keep them in mind when you visit the UK as well. And in case you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I'm Ashika, and hit the subscribe button below. If you feel this video has helped you, give me a thumbs up or a like and share it with your friends and family. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, my handle is absolutely Ashika. Thanks for watching and have a great day.